kidding me? That is impossible. That is absolutely impossible what he just did. That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, this is another episode of the Destination Fantasy Podcast. And I'm here with yours truly, my brother from another mother, Mr. Deshaun Reed. How you doing this morning?
Man, long night, as you and I discussed, bro, but I am here excited, ready to get this thing rolling.
Hey, man, I appreciate your dedication. Like you said, long night, not much sleep, doing the show. And then, off to work here, man, you put in the time and the effort here this morning, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. It's definitely about perspective, and I wasn't gonna leave this one high and dry. I'd rather do that to work. So yeah.
No, fair enough, man. But yeah, I guess we're gonna get into some quick topics here, but more importantly, we've been doing this show for a few months now. I guess we never really given any background of who we are per se, and why we're doing what we're doing. But before we get into this, just quick notes from around the league this past week. Let's start off with your Steelers. Art Rooney, owner, basically told Big Ben he wants him back for one more year, run it back one more time, restructure the contract. What's your thoughts on that, Steelers fan?
Man, I am completely excited about that. Like, you and I like chat a lot offline, whether it be via sports group, whether it be via text message, wherever. We always, like talking like sports. So, like I said this before, I still think Ben has something left in the tank, but that tank is close to being empty right now. So, and you got to take, let's just go ahead and take like the Steelers season as like a whole, Jamar. And at the beginning of the season, like he was a legit MVP candidate. Like he was playing like he hasn't played in 3 years. So, and then, things got kind of like rocky towards the end. And I just still believe he does have something left in the tank. I don't want to see him go on a sour note. And no, great quarterback wants to do that. You had a great season and then you just kind of tapered off at like the end. No one wants to ride into the sunset like that. Shout out to like Art Rooney being able to bring him back. Now, again, that hurts us as far as like the cap a little bit. I'm not sure about exactly how they're going to restructure the contract, Jamar, but I am glad to see Big Ben back in black and gold under center. It's going to be a little bit different without Pounce there. So, hopefully they'll be able to fill that void.
Yeah. So, with somebody with stature Big Ben, you definitely don't want to, you definitely want to go out on a high note, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Not, necessarily, winning the whole thing. Like, that's hard, but, just go out on your own terms, go out, basically, doing what you love and not being forced out per se, but you also don't want to be around and drag it out too long, like, Brett Favre or somebody. But no, I get it. So, run it back one more time. They have to restructure the deal. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, he's scheduled to make what? It's like an outstanding number too.
Yes.
So I forgot exactly what. So, but yeah, as long as they, find a solution to Pouncey being gone and a running game and, just little tweaks here in the defense, everything else, should speak for itself at that point.
Yeah, I agree, man. It definitely should be, and it's also another side to that as well. Like you don't want to hinder, the growth of like a younger quarterback out there. Like, I was talking like with my brother the other day, and like the name Sam Darnold like just kind of like flew out there. I'm like, yeah, I'll be happy to have a Sam Darnold in Pittsburgh. I just think he's one of those players that kind of got like a bad rap because of like the team that he's on. He's on like the Jets, bro, and that's just like a wasteland. You know what I'm saying? So I do believe that with Big Ben gone, we can like kind of just move on to like the future, which everyone in our conference has done. All those guys are young.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow. Yeah, no, you're right. And then just other teams on the outside, like Josh Allen and Patty Mahomes and
Justin Herbert. Like the list goes on for young quarterbacks, and then you got Grandpa Ben. So
And Philip, he decided to hang it up. He didn't want to be a granddaddy out there. So, so yeah, I get it. All right. So other notes here. The Houston Texans, feel like they're always in the news one way or another, more bad than good. Release Duke Johnson. Fire sale. Apparently, it's a fire sale for everybody except for quote unquote Deshaun Watson, according to their PR team. But I still feel like there's no chance that he comes back to that abysmal organization right now. And then of course, Russell Wilson. He made news here. Not necessarily demanding a trade, but if he was to be traded, he definitely has his list of teams. You got the Cowboys, you got the Raiders, you got the Saints, and my Bears somehow, some way. So don't want to spend too much time on that because it's still speculation. Just rumors at this point. But as you know, 3 quarterbacks been moved this off season so far, and I feel like there's definitely a lot more in store and to come. So just keep a lookout on that. So, you ready to get into this topic, man?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so why do we love fantasy football? You know what? I'll start. So, all right, so this is back when I was at Purdue. And matter of fact, I think you was still there at the time too.
Yep.
And so this was the first time I played had to been the 07 season. That's the season where the New England Patriots, had arguably the best team of all time, except for the Super Bowl part of it. And so I don't know. I've heard about fantasy football. I never really tried it at the time. Always wanted to get into it. Just one day I'm like, all right, get into a draft. Not knowing what I was doing, but I got into a draft. And so I think it was a 10-team or 12-team league. I can't even tell you. So I get in. Of course, knowing what I know now, my first pick was Tom Brady in the first round. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, okay. Second round, can't even tell you. Third round, I believe I picked Chad Johnson when he was at the height of, with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Carson Palmer. Chad Johnson had all these celebrations. Chad Johnson was a baller.
Yeah, so basically you drafted Ocho Cinco and not Chad Johnson, or was it the other way around?
I think it was Chad Johnson at the time.
Okay.
I think the following year he went Ocho Cinco on us. And then the fourth, this pick right here in the fourth round, was the kicker. Randy Moss. I picked Randy Moss in the fourth round, and these people in the chat was like he's washed up. Why are you getting Randy Moss? Mind you, Randy Moss came off 2 years with the Oakland Raiders at the time. And, his numbers wasn't the same because he had Aaron Brooks as his quarterback, who was kind of washed up at the time because he wasn't Aaron Brooks from the Saints.
Right.
And so, your numbers is going to be dictated based on the quarterback play, which also is kind of dictated on the offensive line protecting the quarterback. So it's a trickle-down effect. And so his stock was definitely low at the time. So I'm like, I was getting all these questions in this chat in the middle of the draft that, I had knew nothing about. I just knew Tom Brady was really good. I knew Chad Johnson was really good. And I knew Randy Moss was like Randy Moss. Because I'm like, in my head, well, he's playing with a better quarterback now. So we'll see what happens. And I can't even tell you who I had in the rest of the draft. I know my running back was pretty solid at the time. Can't even tell you. I don't remember. And the rest of the team, honestly, it didn't matter. It didn't matter because I didn't even change my lineup the whole year. I didn't. I was in and out of kind of paying attention.
Yeah.
But I do know one thing. I won the whole league and lost 1 week. And that's the week the New England Patriots was on the bye.
Wow.
I kid you not.
That's insane, bro.
Yeah, I'm sitting here my first time playing, I don't know what I'm doing, and this happens. And so I don't know, with that excited, and obviously me being a noob at the time, I'm like, whoa, okay, yeah, let's continue doing this going forward. And so I got more into it, and start educating myself,
Mhm.
and starting to learn the fundamentals of it and the foundation, and a couple of years after that, that's when we started playing. It was shortly after, because I think at that point when we started playing, I think you had just left Purdue and started doing your own thing at that point. But yeah, that season right there, that magical season by the Patriots, it happened to be a perfect storm for me trying fantasy football out, and I'm like,
Wow.
it just pulled me right in based on that instant success of me not knowing what I'm doing.
And winning does that though, right? Like you coming into this thing not knowing what to actually expect. You put together a team with no type of formula, mind you. You just doing this, you're wet behind the ears. You put out a team you drafted and you hope for the best, and you got a winning formula. Like, why wouldn't you want to come back to that,
Yeah, it's like I just, put in random numbers for the lottery and like left the ticket sitting there, didn't even check to see if I won. Come to find out, I'm like a multi-millionaire. Like that's what it felt like. And so it's like, yeah, it makes me want to, do more. And I tell you what, like, before fantasy football, for those that don't know, I'm a diehard Bears fan. If I haven't made it evident by now.
I think they got that now.
Oh, okay. And so I would used to just, focus on the Bears, and, if the Bears wasn't playing, I wasn't really watching games. And with the element of fantasy football, like, I'm tuned into every game now. Like I just became like just a general fan, more so of other teams, and my knowledge of the NFL and all these players has grown exponentially because of, participating in fantasy football. So I definitely tell you that's definitely been a bright side of, being a part of this. But I guess, how did you get into it? Like, whoa, like just go ahead and explain your story, man.
So it's, I think you were the first person to ask me, and you've been talking about it for a while. And I'm like, all right, that's kind of like intriguing. It actually intrigued me to do it. So I'm like, what the heck? But, like me, if I'm going to get into something, and this is with anything that I do that's brand new, I'm going to research it just a bit. You know what I mean? So I had like probably like a little bit more research than what you did. And, at the time, I forgot exactly what I was doing. This was, we were much younger, and we had a little bit more time on our hands, to be able to do this thing. And I'm like, what the heck? Love football. Let's give this thing a shot. It could be something that can be good. And I was right about that, bro. And when I first started, I think everyone does this. You take the homer route, which you picked a lot of players from your own team, not knowing that, that, hey, this player can outplay your player. Like I probably drafted like a Mike Wallace or something like that over a maybe like a top 10 receiver that I should have probably taken. I'm just throwing some random names out here anyway. But I definitely took like the homer route. I made the playoffs in my very first year. And I think I actually won the first game inside the playoffs. So
Nice.
a little bit after that, and I think like I got like smacked. I got smacked in that next round of the playoffs, where it's like I was so embarrassed that I wish the other guy would have made the playoffs over me, because like his players went off up on his team. But and it gives you that extra thing to do, Jamar. So like everybody knows, make no mistake about it, everybody knows where my heart is. I have a bunch of Pittsburgh stuff around, and when that game is not on, it makes you want to be able to check out these other games. So it's like, right. Oh man, I gotta watch my other players. Like I've been Julio Jones fan. Like I've had him for a crazy amount of years. Don't think I'm gonna draft him next year, just being completely honest. But I had him a lot, and he's been on a lot of my championship teams. And it gives like you an extra thing to do. And when you really put your heart and soul, like you and I both have, into a thing that is fantasy football, it it opens up this positive element. It fills up a lot of your time in a positive way at that. Right. And, and that's how basically how this podcast came about. You and I dove deep into it. And from there, we've had success early. You and I both. And you know that I had this one little period that I was basically like that dude to win. It was like championship, finals, championship, finals, championship, finals. And that's how it's been. And when you win like that, it just shows that you actually put the research into it. It's actually like a formula for it. You and I both know that. And from that point on, you and I became like the dudes like to like go to like, hey, like I drafted this player. Should I have drafted this player? I'm like, nah, man, I think you did pretty well or whatever. So we just happened just to become like those guys. We took it, we ran with it. I think both of our records and everything that we have done. And people don't try to call me out on this because I just saw like the other day that you can actually go back on Yahoo and see all your trophies, throughout like the whole time that you've been on it. So I'm not bluffing when I say I know I had a bad season, but like I was that dude. I'm still in that dude. But it gives you an extra like element, like Jamar, to be able to feel like your time, and it's time consuming. It really is. It really is, but it's in a positive way. It brings so many people together. You and I, we talk daily because of it. Co-workers, friends, brothers. It just gives, every guy, likes to trash talk and feel proud about something, whether it be his home team, whether it be his basketball team, and now you got your fantasy football team. So that's how it kind of pretty much started for me. Again, like you, very early success in it. Lucking up doing some good things when I really used my brain and kind of, dug deep into like formulas and things of that nature. It just became like a hit. And I don't care if I'm 60 something years old and I'm on, let's say like 70, 80, and I'm at like a nursing home. I'm still playing fantasy football, bro. So it's just one of those things that I love to do. And I think at this point, everyone knows that.
Man, facts, man. And, like one of my dream jobs was being like a general manager of a sports team. That's just something I love to do. I love
Did not know that.
Yeah. So I love to like, I like figuring out puzzles. And another thing you don't know, like I do puzzles as well. 500 piece, 1,000 piece. Haven't been able to do so lately, but that's what I do. Even got a puzzle app on my phone. And so like I feel like that intertwines with me and the GM just figuring out the right combination of things to make it a success. And so, like, that goes hand in hand with my fantasy football team. That's how I approach it. It's like, all right, so I got these players. I drafted these players from a pool of players. Like, now what combination is going to give me, going to make me the most successful in this particular league or this particular time, this particular game, this particular match. And that's how I approach it. And that's part of the reason why I love it, because it's something, it relates to something that I would love to do. And so it's like, making my own. And that's why, our phrase is live your fantasy. So I feel like that all goes hand in hand, man. And yeah, after the initial success and, let me ask you this, because after a while, I started trying like different things, different rules, different, I guess settings as far as fantasy football. Mm-hmm. Have you ever done an auction league before?
Yes, I have done an auction league, and that's like one of like the toughest leagues to actually play in. That in the dynasty league, which I haven't got a chance to get in one because a lot of guys who asked me like that I asked, can I get in their dynasty league? It was like, no one wants to get out. Like they love actually doing it because it's like, I think you would love it considering that you want that GM role. And like, this is a legit GM role to where you have to, like, they play defensive players.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's, man, you really got to use your freaking noggin up on that one. Like, you just can't be out there, half stepping. And then like, you're going to be like irrelevant for like the next 5 years. One bad move, possibly maybe drafting like the wrong rookie or something like that. Like, and then you're irrelevant. So, So yeah, it's I think it's just one of those things that I think that you would like love. Like, I mean, have you ever done one like yet?
Not an official dynasty. No, that's next up on my list for sure. It is, definitely is. But
But it's like one of those things, like you said, Jamar. Once you go to like the standard league, 10 team, just standard scoring, you wanna, dive into like PPR, and you want to get into like the 12 teamers, you want to get into like the keepers league. So it's just,
right,
I think it's like one of those things that no matter how, how, if you do bad, if you do good, it's always going to be something new that's going to be intriguing. It's going to always be something fresh. So it's definitely going to keep your attention. About time, they get tired of like a standard league. They made up like the dynasty league, and then they got this keeper league, and then it's always, and I'm gonna make this known. The money is always good, whether you play, like I played in leagues, Jamar, where we played $150 a head. I've won a league like that before, but it's never about the money. It's always about the bragging rights, because that money comes and it goes like that.
right.
But having the bragging rights all the way up until like the next time that you draft, walking around doing a discount double check at work, that you have the that you have like the belt. That's what I do it for, and like the fun too. It's just one of those things that I'm never gonna stop doing.
Hey, let me tell you about the time I got introduced to an auction league.
Okay.
All right, and so I was working at Purdue in the intramural department. As you may have came and saw the times that you came and played basketball with your brothers and stuff. And so, co-worker named Mike, he's been doing auction leagues for a while, and he was like, "Hey, why don't you me and you share a team and get in this auction league?" I've never shared a team with anybody, so that was a first for me. But I also wanted to try auction because I knew it was completely different, a completely different style and strategy of how to gain your players. And so I was like, okay. And so at the time, we wanted to spend the majority of our budget on elite tight end, elite running back, and I think elite wide receiver. And so I know I think at the time Jimmy Graham was still at his height. So
like the Saints Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we was targeting him. I want to say we was targeting Jamal Charles at the time.
Man, yeah, he was something.
And wide receiver, I want to say might have been Megatron or something. And so that was our formula. We ended up getting, I think, 2 out of 3, but the other person that we got was definitely comparable, definitely well deserved at the time. So that was our formula. Because as we know, at that point, you learned that tight ends are scarce, running backs, elite running backs are scarce, and so no, we was able to do that. And I think the buy-in per team was $250. Okay. So split the bill, and yeah, we ended up winning. We ended up winning that year, and so I think the payout was like $1,400 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we ended up winning. I'm like, man, I almost at that one point I almost getting addicted to auction drafts. I'm like, man, if I can go in with this strategy every year, then I'm gonna have a pretty good chance to win. That's how I felt at the time. But no, I just feel like it just seemed like to me every time I try something new or within fantasy football, like I end up having a really good outcome, as in winning. Each different job that I had outside of college that had a work league, at one point in time, I ended up winning the league. And then moving on to the next job, winning the league, moving on to the next job. It's to the point where I feel like my mission is complete at this job once I win this fantasy football league.
Yeah.
No, but no, I mean, I would love to try another auction league. I haven't done so in years. Been in leagues with a super flex, found out what that was. Like, okay, so basically you want to have 2 quarterbacks in the sense that like what we do with our main league there. Ever been in the league with a waiver wire budget?
What waiver wire? No, I never even heard of that.
Yeah, so there's certain leagues, like how what we normally do. Like if you're probably got the lowest record, like it resets the order like every week.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and so what the budget is, it's kind of like in the auction for a draft. So basically, that budget that you have is for the whole year. So if you see a player that you really want, if say your budget is $100, and say, you saw James Robinson from last year out there. I mean, of course you didn't know at the time, but if you know what you know now, like you probably want to put a hefty amount of your budget on him, and because it would have paid off type thing. So it's just another way of you know a strategy of getting the players that you want type thing. So it's so many different rules and settings that I want to try, but I definitely want to try a dynasty league for sure.
For sure. Oh man, I'm ready for that one. I'm ready for it, bro.
Likewise, and definitely want to try another auction here because it's been a long time, and definitely want to try different leagues, different styles, different rules, with bonuses and stuff. Or there's plenty of leagues that have passing yard bonuses that I've never been in, and rushing yard bonuses, things of that nature. It's so many different ways you can customize your league. That's probably another beautiful thing with fantasy football. Why we love it, it's like no two leagues are the same. And as you know, no 2 weeks of the NFL season are the same. So you always get something different.
Yeah, and I think we've been playing long enough, bro, that we even saw like excuse me. I think we even saw like a couple of errors. I think we saw a couple of errors come and we saw a couple of errors go. So it's like that changes too. And you get excited when you see, like, I'm just going to use Justin Jefferson, for example. We know he's going to be good for like the next 5 to 10 years if he keeps at the pace that he's at now. And I think, again, that adds a extra, happiness dynamic to, like, it's something fresh, it's something new. It's everyone who knows me knows I'm like a sneakerhead. And it's like, once you get this shoe, you can have like all like these 10 shoes that you've been wanting for like the longest. And then you're still not satisfied with it. Something new and fresh comes along. You're like, all right, let me grab that too. Or like you're playing Pokemon and you catch all 250 and they come out with like a brand new set. And then it's still, again, something else that you have to do. Fantasy football is pretty much the same, man. It's going to always be something new and fresh that's going to grab your attention. So when you think it's time for you to get out the game, it's never going to be time for you to get out the game. So, and I know it's like the same thing for me. And like my wife knows it. She's been super supportive of it. It's something positive that I do. Like when we go out to like B-dubs, I even got like some of the old recordings, which I think we should like show like, later on whenever we get a chance. But of our like our old B-dubs, it gives like older friends, like shout out to my guy Reap. I really don't get a chance to see him like that. But, he'll come up from wherever he's at, and it brings people together and in a very positive way. We're all guys. We rally around sports. So fantasy football is definitely high up on my priority list.
Facts. Big facts. Man, yeah, you're right. As far as, we were doing drafts at B-dubs for years and years. It's like when we first started doing that, like that was my first time doing a live draft like that. And it's like, at that point, you don't want to go back to a regular app draft or a computer. No, it's a good time. Definitely a good time, especially when everybody can make it. Like you said, shout out to Reek. Hopefully we can get him on here in the upcoming weeks. But yeah, he'll come up from Indianapolis. Same with Alex that we had on a couple of weeks ago. He was in Indianapolis. He'll come up, and people that live in Chicago, they'll come up, we'll come around, and no, it's just a great time. Like trash talking, food, like just the whole atmosphere. I know this was, once upon a time when we didn't have to walk around with masks on and stuff.
Yeah, and it's even like we even got like our children into it. Like I bring my son with me. I have done that for like a couple of years just so he can see how everything is. And my son is a huge football fan. He plays football, and he's just like, he likes the game, like he loves the game. It's just something that he grasped onto, and he was like, "Hey, can I come with you?" I'm like, "Oh my God, yeah, for sure." Definitely like to see him involved in something positive like that. And he asked, like, who's all these people? I'm like, some of my guys. And it's just a really, really good time. And, even if I would, I'm lucky to be up on like the positive side of things as far as fantasy football goes. But if I was on like the down, I'm going to use Keelan as an example. My bad, Keelan. He was on like, was it last week?
Yeah.
So it was like the Eagles fan. And like, it seems like every time he drafts someone, they get injured. I mean, and it's been like 5 years that his first round, maybe first and second round pick combined got injured. So I'm just hopefully he doesn't pick any of my Pittsburgh players early.
That's messed up, man.
I'm just being honest.
Oh man, if that's the case, he needs to draft Aaron Rodgers first. I'll be happy. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's a beautiful thing. It definitely, takes up my time, but like you said, in a positive way.
For sure.
Something to look forward to, to wind down the end of the year, to, get into the new year. Basically like from the summertime, like summer's coming to a close, but hey, we got fantasy football.
Yep. And that's, it helps you get through like the winter. Like it legit helps you get through like the winter. So it's like, it seems as if winter is starting to break here in, Northwest Indiana, Chicagoland area. And again, it may be a little bit premature considering they may dump another 5 feet of snow on us again, but it definitely helps you get past those cold Chicagoland winters or whatever. But like you said, Jamar, this is something that I will do until the day I croak if I'm able to do so.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
So I got one last question for you before we get off the topic. So this is just right off the top of the dome. What's the craziest thing you saw while drafting? Again, like I'm gonna just throw something out there. Like that one year I think Colin Kaepernick was taken number 1 overall or something like that. Shout out to my man Fred Lott. Like that's my guy. Keelan's little brother, but he drafted Colin Kaepernick number 1 overall, and we were just like we were like dumbfounded, bro. Like, wow. And like sometimes those things turn out to be a good pick, but that was like a heavy reach.
My gosh, yeah. So I remember that to this day in my Deontay Wilder voice. To this day, yeah. So Fred took Colin Kaepernick 1. Your brother, who we had on the show, Piggy, he took Tom Brady 2. Keelan had the 3rd pick. I had the 4th pick. I literally called up Keelan, like, look, this was when LaShawn Shady McCoy was at his height. Like, if you do not take Shady McCoy, they're going to think this is a conspiracy. So I told him to take Shady McCoy. I forgot who I took after that, but yeah, that was wild. That was wild.
Yeah, it was.
And, and I've been in drafts to where, 2 defenses are taken before you even get to like the 12th pick. It's like, why do you have Seattle's defense and the Rams defense? Right, that's what I'm thinking. And I seen multiple kickers go. Like there's guys that draft and fill out their starting lineup. Like you got 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, tight end, flex. Like they would kicker and defense. They would fill that out before they fill out their bench. And I'm sitting here like, okay, but what you just mentioned, that was how the wildest. The wildest. Like I can justify picking Colin Kaepernick in the first round. I mean, not Colin Kaepernick, Patrick Mahomes, but Colin Kaepernick, no. Yeah, so yeah, I agree with you, man. That was wild.
Yes, indeed. I think another crazy one was I think Justin Tucker was taken in the 3rd round. And that was like insane for me to see a kicker go off the board in the 3rd round. And at the same time, a kicker went off the board in the 3rd round. Justin Tucker was taken at the back end of a 3rd round by a Baltimore Ravens fan at that, but he was taken 3rd overall.
Homer picks, man.
No joke. But the guy actually did well via like the rest of like the draft, but it's just one of those crazy things that, you got multiple people sitting up there. Like you could have took a quarterback, tight end. You could have took anything. You could have took a wide receiver 2 at that spot and been much better in the 3rd round. So
Yeah, that's wild. Kicker in the third.
Kicker in the third, Justin Tucker. Never gonna.
Right. I understand he's a first ballot Hall of Fame kicker and all,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's because at that point you just missed out on like about of a sure thing of talent at that round that you're gonna get.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's wild. That's wild. I can say I never seen a kicker go that high in the draft I've been in.
Yeah, man, and he still made the playoffs, like the whole nine. His team was still actually solid, like outside of that, just crazy pick. Like it was, he still had a very good team. But he's a Baltimore Ravens fan. He was one of my coworkers. So
Gotcha. Have you ever? I never been in a league like this, but I hear this happen quite a few times. Ever been in a league where somebody don't know what they're doing, and in the draft they just draft whomever and end up winning the league?
yeah. Oh my God, it's this dude. It's this guy. Man, I cannot think of his name. It's the guy that we work with, and he had the most outlandish way of draft. I think he drafted like 5 wide receivers straight or something like that. It was just straight wideouts, wide out. I think he drafted like 5 wide receivers in like a row. And that actually turned out to be a very good thing because, I mean, if you think about it, you can play 2 wide receivers, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. You can pop one in your flex. But I think he had 3 top, maybe 10 to 15 wide receivers up on like the same team. Like that's how it actually ended up. And his bench was full of wide receivers. And he's one of those type of guys who don't want to trade. And I can understand that because like he wanted like a premium for these guys, which rightfully so. I understand that they were very, very good wide receivers, but I think he probably went running back, wide receiver, quarterback, and then all wide receivers, like maybe like 5 straight picks or something like that.
That's wild.
And he won the league. And he won the league. And he won the league. And to actually think that formula worked. So like I'm sitting there and like I'm talking to like the guy. He was like, man, remember when we was laughing at this guy when we were drafting, and now he's laughing at us because he's on his way to like the finals. So it's like that was something like wild, bro. It was wild.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. That is crazy. Anything else you want to add on this topic?
No, it's just I think we can like legit call this a like let's call it like a prelude. So is basically giving a backstory to what you and I do, the reason why we do this week in and week out. And honestly, it's not even a week in and week out thing, bro. It's more so of a daily thing with you and I. We are constantly talking about fantasy football, and like you and I both know, like we got like the combine coming up. So our work is not done. And if we were able to draft today, you and I know that we would kill that draft. Like we would straight body it. Because you and I both watch college football. I still feel like we got like a leg up on like the competition a little bit because how we are. And like people come to us for that. And I think that's like the whole beauty of it. I like being a guy that people like ask about, hey, should I start this person? Should I start this person? I think that's like a good thing. And our track records definitely speak for themselves.
Big facts, man. Big facts. All right, so I'm gonna actually let you close it out with a couple of topics here. As you see in the background, it's a little busy right here. So go ahead and mention something about the giveaway for us.
So this is the one about the hoodie, right?
Yeah, we're still in the kinks, but we're gonna have something very soon that's gonna be announced this month, man.
Yeah, so that's like typically what we're leaning toward. We're leaning toward, hopefully giving you guys a, and it's gonna be completely free. We're gonna like pay for it, like the whole 9. It's gonna be like a list of rules that you have to follow in order to do so. But we're trying to give away like some type of like dope custom hoodie from us to you guys for supporting everything that we do. And we understand we're getting at like the very end of this whole situation, so it's just something to give back to everybody that's been rocking with us since day one. And I think I speak for Jamar when I say both of us really appreciate everything that everyone has done for us over like the time of, being able to do this thing. We got people that, chime in daily from people who ask us questions up on like the regular, which him and I both love. So we, definitely want to do this to be able to give those, people a chance to be able to win something. So.
Big facts. And then, of course, this one here, I would say just be on the lookout for that, right?
We're recruiting, man. We definitely want some more people inside of this league. And this is a league that, yours truly and both Jamar, we had the chance to be able to duke it out for the in like the finals. And it's only right? Because it was a Destination Fantasy League. He had like one up on me. I think he actually like clapped me during the finals. I don't think it was as close as, like the projections sought after. He had a really, really good team, but definitely coming for him next year, but definitely be on the lookout for that as we will be recruiting. Now, again, we're not sure if we're going to like expand it, maybe it's like a 12 team or anything like that, but definitely be out up on like the lookout.
Big facts, man. Dude, to anticipate that fight was like, Tyson Holyfield, the Thriller in Manila, Goku versus Vegeta,
The Rock versus Stone Cold. Yeah. So it was definitely one of those heavyweight bouts, man, that I think it couldn't have ended a better way. You and I, probably everybody knew that we had a really, really good shot at taking like the title home anyway. I think you were 1 in the draft. I was number 2 inside the draft after draft day, and those predictions held true throughout the year. So, I mean, that was definitely a plus. So I'm definitely coming for like a title, man. I need a title.
I know, man. You used to be Mr. Run It Up. You used to run up all the titles, man. Yeah. I still want one out the main league. It's been a long time for me. That's the one I really wanted. Mm-hmm. That's the one that I felt like it was in my grasp. Kamara gave me 6 touchdowns on Christmas, and I ended up losing to Stephon Diggs.
That's the one. Football. That's the one that holds the most weight to me as well, considering that everyone in that league personally. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's one of the things where it's like that one holds true, because maybe you might be playing like some coworkers. You could get moved from like your job, but those group of like kind of more so core friends, you're gonna know those guys forever. So you can always rub it in their face. Like, hey, you remember when I was like that deal and I was basically like the Patriots dynasty, which I kind of was at that time. You know what I mean? That's something I'm not gonna never let you guys like forget.
Big facts, man. So, all right. So I guess where can they find us, man?
Man, you can find us everywhere where podcasts are available. We're on Apple Pod, we're on Spotify, we're on Pandora, man, and other platforms. So it's definitely like you see down there at the ticker right there. So definitely be able to check us out, give us a click. Especially we are streaming live right now on Facebook. We're streaming live up on YouTube. So, especially on like YouTube, if you like what we're doing, thumbs up. It goes a long way to help me and Jamar. And if you don't like it, we completely understand. You can click the thumbs down, but we are hoping for all thumbs up, apparently. But it definitely goes a long way if you can sub up and smash that like button.
Facts, man. I mean, at the end of the day, as you can tell by the end of this cast, we're just a couple of guys, who are husbands, fathers, work a job, but can definitely find time for something that we truly love, which is fantasy football.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself, bro.
And then really quick shout out to Dwayne Hawkins, who's always commenting and supporting us every weekend. We tried to get him on today and he couldn't be here, and I understand, but we would definitely get you on, man, because you definitely have a lot of insight nuggets that we want to talk about for sure.
Yeah. Like you said, that feature is coming, and I cannot wait to have that guy up on the show. Shout out to my guy Wayne,
man, for real. So, all right. So with that being said, this podcast will be available here shortly. So with my brother Deshaun here, you're on this side. I'm Jamar, and we will see you all next week.
Peace.